nervous. I'm actually nervous about this one. I don't know why I'm nervous about this one. We've done 111 of these. I shouldn't be nervous. I've actually done more than 111. 112. This is only 112.
You weren't there for like a week, but I'm
not even here for more than a week. I've definitely taken vacations and stuff.
Yeah, there's like 5 you haven't been there for. But I mean, it was counting. I mean, whatever. It was
That'd be a funny one too. Okay. Dude, I don't know why I'm so nervous for this one. Why am I so nervous?
It's a big deal. It's like,
Yeah, why are you nervous?
Yeah, don't be nervous.
Okay.
It just seems like you're hanging out with buddies.
This is all the podcast, by the way. I'm including all this. So
Oh
like,
my
just
God.
be aware, you know.
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else, welcome to probably the biggest episode of the Home Games podcast ever, because today is our big welcome to our soft opening. I'm Yazeed. And this is Joseph.
Hello, I'm Joseph, and today is Friday, July 1st, 2022. Today is the big launch day, the big initial developer preview is what we're calling it. But basically, it's our first official build of Home Games that we're releasing, and we want people to play and give feedback. It's kind of our first real release ever in 4 years of doing this whole thing, so it's a big deal. Feels like it, at least. We made this all up, so it's kind of weird to be celebrating it. You know what I mean?
No.
Like when you graduate high school, it's like someone else made up high school. You know? So
Fair. That's honestly pretty fair, yeah.
So like this, we made it all up from the beginning to the end, and we set this deadline, and we did whatever. But long story short, we have a stable build of Home Games. I just demoed it to you. I'm going to be hitting the literal big red button for people watching video. We have a physical large red button that I've wired up to basically publish a new build of Home Games. So we will be doing that kind of, not quite live, but during the podcast. Live because we're live right now, but we're uploading this in like 4 days. So
That's right.
this actually happened live.
Yes, we were alive when we did this. Yeah, no, I think it's a really big deal. If Joseph's serious about leaving in the awkward openings, this is a big deal. I'm actually nervous for this one. I'm more nervous for this one than I was for any of them but the first one. So,
Were you nervous for the first one? It seemed like you were very gung-ho about the podcast, and I was not at the beginning. So,
I don't remember the first one. So, just assume I was nervous because that seems like a Yazeed thing to do. I don't remember. That was too long ago. It's outside the scope of my memory.
yeah, I mean, episode 1 we recorded September 2019, which, I mean, it really isn't that long ago, but it feels like forever ago.
That's like a whole 3 Yazeeds ago.
In terms of your memory span.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we have a roadmap of things that we want to do for the rest of 2022, which I guess we'll get to at some point during the episode. But I guess we don't have a structure for this one. We don't really know.
I guess. Okay. First of all, I want this to feel a little bit like a celebration because this is pretty dope.
Okay.
But I also have a question for you.
Okay.
Actually, I have a couple questions, but I'll start with the first question.
Mm-hmm.
How stoked are you right now? How stoked are you right now?
I'm very stoked. I think I'm stoked in the sense of, like, just personally, I'm kind of burnt out on it. Like, I've been so close to it for so long, and excuse me, like, we just showed it to JC, and JC is in the video for people. Maybe you can see his hand or something. Yeah, so basically showing it to JC, and JC was impressed by the homegames.link functionality, like that you can run a server and then another device on your LAN can pick it up and play it. And he was like, wow, that's really cool. And like, I've seen that cool moment so many times, I'm just burnt on it. Like, I don't you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's nice getting someone being like, wow, that's cool. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just excited for feedback. I'm in this phase of, like, I think what we've built here is so cool that I will work on games for the foreseeable future and I won't stop. But I think the level of my exertion, I need to kind of reevaluate if, like, long story short, if people don't care as much as me, I can't put in this much time forever, you know? So I'm just excited for feedback from someone who gives it like a genuine shot and is like, hey, this has potential, or hey, this is a terrible idea. And it's like, well, God damn it, I finished a terrible idea. Like, even that's an accomplishment, even if all this sucks, like, it's done, we built it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I think I feel like you should be as stoked and proud of it, because it is really cool. It is really dope.
Thank you.
And even if people don't like get it, I do think that it's cool technically, and I think it's interesting, and I think that goes a long way for me anyway.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I hope people see the thing in it, because I think, yeah, I don't know. I think there is a thing in it, just being able to build the thing yourself. It's like kind of really fucking cool. Yeah. And just seeing it all working together. It's just this realization. It's like we were saying before we ate dinner before the podcast. It was like, there's this dream that you have where it's like a rough draft of a dream, of like a thing that you're looking forward to. And you're like, okay, well, kind of fuzzy on the details, but it'll be like this. And so this kind of Homegames launch day has been like that in my head for the longest time, of this like magical release date of everything's going to be great. And all I can see now is like all the flaws and all of the bugs. Like we just found a bug before when I was demoing it to you, and it's kind of it's not a, whatever, I should fix that bug. So when I was talking to Synovia about this, I was like, I want someone else who doesn't know me to care as much about this bug, because if you care about the bug, then that means that you care about the system enough to want it to be better. If someone's just like, this is broken and stupid, it's like, well, that's the worst case scenario.
I don't know. Yeah, it's either that or nothing.
It's probably worse than nothing.
You think so?
You get a negative perception of it. It's like, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I guess I'm just in a really weird spot mentally, and I have been for a while, like in real life. Just basically my whole life has been this thing. So I'm just excited to wrap it up and kind of see where it goes. Wrap up this phase of it.
Yeah.
How do you feel as someone who's, kind of like been alongside me this whole time, but you never really, you never really like speak up on your opinion of the whole thing, in my experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I don't know how to phrase it. I'm really happy to have gotten to work on it with you. I've really gotten a better understanding. Like, I've learned a lot from your code, reading your code. And I do think Homegames is a dope project. For me, it's fun because it also is like a way of like enforced hangout time that doesn't feel like it's enforced hangout time for you and me. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's like a lot of cool stuff about Homegames, and I'm really happy it's launching. And some part of me is also kind of sad that that it's launching. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, same thing, where it's like yeah, what I was saying, this dream of launching, and then you get here and it's like, well, not everything works as well as it could. And in my head there was this like, I don't know, in my head it was like, we have this following and they're all just like, man, we want to watch you like, oh, I can't wait for it, whatever. And we just like haven't had that, and it's kind of hard to, like, all of the motivation has been self-driven for the most part. And after 4 years, it's kind of like, I need some juice, like I need a little bit of a oomph. I need someone to be like, hey, here's a black screen that I made with your engine. It's just like, oh, that'll keep me going for at least a year, But I'm happy with it. It works like better than I thought it would. We fleshed out this thing into more than what I think I thought it was when we started making it, which is cool. Like, we kind of figured it out as we built it, and it's like, oh, we're building a YouTube for games.
Yeah.
Like that, like, click at a certain point after 2
years. That's a really good explanation for how Homegames works.
Yeah, I just don't say it because I don't want YouTube to like sue us. Like, I don't know how that works. It's like, can I just say it's the YouTube for games?
Probably.
But like, it's
so
like,
many games are like, we're the Bloodborne of shooters, or like, we're the Bloodborne of racing games, or we're the Bloodborne of card games. Like, who cares? Why? No one wants to play Dark Souls, the card game, probably.
JC would.
JC would. Kind of shit, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I think you probably could get it. That's like a fantastic explanation for what it's like. I'm gonna use that casually when I'm dropping explanations on Homegames.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like, we've compared the publishing process to YouTube before in terms of our rules and the things that we need to do for those rules. And kind of running into this fact that YouTube has this, all this infinite money and resources behind them to create technology that can like automatically find if you're playing a movie or copyrighted material, whatever, where we don't have that. So it's kind of like, well, how do we solve this problem of people can upload illegal shit to our servers? Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know. When someone asks me to remove it, I'll remove it. But then it's like, I have to put that in the terms of service. I'll delete your shit.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I'm just a guy. What the fuck are my terms of service? You know what I mean?
Terms of service or whatever I give. No.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I was gonna say, like, when you said earlier that you learned from my code, do you mean that you're learning? Like, what are you learning in that case?
I think it's less. Okay, I don't know how to explain it. It's less the structure of how you write your code, because I think I've joked about it enough. Your code is mad scientist ramblings. Mm-hmm. What I've gathered from it, though, is like there's like really technical details about how you write your code. That's really interesting to me. So like for the math one, coming from the outside, there's no explanation of what this math is doing. But when I read it, I also don't really understand it. But when I like break it down and like figure out like, okay, this variable is like this and this was this, I'm like, oh, this is like how he's scaling this stuff. And it's like, oh, and I know that you never looked that up, so you just figured that out on your own. And like because I know you figured it out on your own, like reading your code, I can be like, okay, here's how he like thought through this problem. Like his problem was he needed to scale this thing, and this is how he came up with his solution. And I can see like, okay, he looked at this variable and this variable, and he had to like divide them and like add this other thing and like, like scale images, scale like the game nodes widths and stuff like that, because all those are done in like screen percentages. Mm-hmm. So you had to take those screen percentages and scale them to the actual like rendered screen, the rendered canvas. I think like stuff like that, if that makes sense, like the technical details of understanding how you went about solving your problem, like that like problem solving thing, it's like a really esoteric thing, but it's something that's really hard in programming, I think. Like even if you've been a professional developer for a long time, that's just like a skill that you'll always be developing. And so like seeing somebody else's like in a raw state like that, I thought it was really valuable. Because like professionally, for the most part, you're gonna like put your code out for review by your peers, and there's like a level of like, I gotta clean this up, and not just like I have to clean this up, but also like somebody else is gonna read this, and like I probably won't be working on this, and so they'll need to like be able to do this. And I felt like that's not the case for Homegames, because for the most part, the people who are gonna work on like the back end engine stuff for Homegames are probably gonna be you and me. Yeah. So there's less of that like other people need to be able to understand this, and more of like Joseph is solving his problem. Also, because I think if we don't take into account like the most recent pass to clean things up for this launch, like it was very much like first draft or like rough draft of like this problem existed, it needed to be solved, this code solves the problem, without any thought of like, is this legible or like any of that stuff. I don't mean to be an asshole about it, but to some extent I have looked at your code and been like, I don't know what's happening.
Totally, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's something that's like it's a skill, it's something that you need to hone for like your whole life as an engineer. And seeing the way you did it, I don't know, I don't want to big you up too much, but you are an engineer that I look up to as I do think you're really smart. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like, as I get older and I kind of get more like senior or whatever as an engineer, I think one of my coworkers, maybe one of my current coworkers, I don't remember who actually said it, but basically said in programming, there's like 3 different things that you do. Like it's a web form, it's some sort of a distributed algorithm, like just scaling, processing, or whatever. But it's like just basic. You do a few different things and different kind of skins and different kind of inputs and maybe a slightly different output. But at the end of the day, the algorithms are the same. But every now and then, when there's like real work, real challenging, interesting pieces of, like when you're building a new feature, there's sometimes a thing that you see in it that's like, we don't know how to do that yet, and that's the thing, right? That's the difficult part, that's the ambiguous part, the whatever. And so the way that I do that kind of prototyping is I don't give a fuck about the fluff. if you and I are working on a feature and you and I as like the developers understand that the thing is here, I can just write the thing. And if we both understand the thing, then we can build the fluff around it after we have the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I guess that's kind of the way I did it with this, where it's like it's still a very personal code base, like the way it is. I have comments kind of to myself, not to a developer, a general developer. Anyway, yeah, it's basically it's been like that, and then I went through and kind of fixed it up for the most part, but it's still very much call it quirky code base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think those are like I think that's like a big part of it for me. I don't know. If you, I feel like you almost touched on it earlier, but like if we were going to go back 4 years and you knew where it was going to end up, do you think that would have like changed the flow of the project, or would you have rather like gone through and done what we did of like figuring out what the end goal is going to be the whole time?
I've been thinking about this. So, in total, we probably lost a year if you consider the amount of time that you and I spent kind of going down paths that didn't ultimately lead us to a feature, a deliverable in thing like Scraps code or whatever. RTC or WebRTC is like a perfect example. I spent weeks on that shit, and I really like busted ass trying to figure it out. And I didn't. I mean, I did, but I realistically couldn't implement it in any reasonable time. So anyway, I was thinking, just if we had this available, ready in its current state, but 1 year earlier, would I be better off? It's like probably not, because I wouldn't have the knowledge of how WebRTC works. Or I wouldn't have the knowledge of all the little rabbit holes that we went down. And, it's kind of like your holistic approach to life, where everything that you do makes you better at everything that you do. So, if you learn that WebRTC works like this, and then you realize how it's different from WebSockets, you start to realize that there's kind of this fundamental thing that each of them is trying to do, and you understand them better as a whole. So you just get better as a developer, and just all that stuff is I think more important sometimes than actually getting like the shit working. So no, I think all that stuff is worth what we did.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, that fits very closely with my own worldview, so I'm going to agree with it.
You learn from your experiences is basically all it is,
Yeah.
One of the things, because I was kind of brainstorming what this episode was going to be about, because I was just kind of, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about this whole thing. And one of the big takeaways is just I've developed so much confidence as a developer since we started this, because all of this is us. We direct it all. So when we run into a rabbit hole and we get ourselves out of it and then go and do something else and fix it and whatever, it's like my whole life, it's like, who am I looking to for guidance? I have to look to someone for guidance. In this, there's no one, And so it's like, okay, well then I have to figure it out yourself, and you do this and you learn so much stuff, and you just realize like, holy shit, I know myself so much better now because of this project. And then it made me realize like I don't know, just when I have kids, I'm going to make them just like do shit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just be like, go and do shit, Zenovia Jr. You know what I mean? Like, try it. Because luckily we know in this tech programming stuff, it's pretty low stakes. Like, you can't really fuck anything up too bad. If you're a car hobbyist, you could destroy your car if you don't know what you're doing, if you go under the hood or whatever. If you're writing Java or you're writing JavaScript, whatever, it's like, I mean, you can crash your computer, but you're going to be fine,
Yeah.
So like the ability to just experiment and fuck around and just try things and like, buy NFTs and read about Ethereum and shit. Like, you could just do whatever you want. Like, everything is so free. So I'm going to be like Zenovia Jr. Here's a book on Ethereum.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Joking.
Yeah. No, yeah. I get it. I like it. I'm all for it. Not the NFTs. I'm for the trying stuff and learning as you go. Totally. I like that a lot.
Yeah, but no, just trying it.
Yeah. I have a hard question for you.
Okay.
We roll back the clock 4 years.
Okay.
You know where it ends up. Do you start working on Homegames?
Oh, like would I just have not done it?
Yeah.
Do I have knowledge, like full knowledge of today?
No, all you know is where the end goal. You know what happens. You know today. You know we pressed the big red button today. You know at Homegames. You know at Homegames. You know we got it to a spot that we felt comfortable launching it at. But that's basically it.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 4 years ago, I was such a bitch. Like when it comes to building things, like I don't know anything, and I don't know what I don't know, and I'm afraid of trying to do it, you know? And then it's like, well, you know, like I said, it made me better. Like it made me better overall, just doing this whole thing and, you know, fucking around and ultimately building this thing that I'm proud of, and then I can show people and they're like interested in it, you know? And this is kind of the next thing here where we launch it and people will hopefully, you know, people who don't care about me will have opinions on it, which is ideally what you want, right? Those are like honest opinions. If I ask my mom, she's not going to tell me it's dog shit, you know? Maybe she would, but probably not.
Listen, I can tell you with my mom, she might.
Your mom would. Your mom would tell me it's dog shit.
She might tell me it is too. I'll be honest.
But yeah, we're just like testing that, I guess, and just seeing what happens. But
yeah,
in the end, very happy that we did this. Very happy that it all worked out, you know, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. I agree. Somebody told me 4 years, or I guess 2 years ago for me, 2.5 years ago or something like this for me, like, you know, Homegames did a launch. But like, that's sick. Let's go.
What would you, what do you think, what would you have done differently if you would have done anything differently? If I was like, hey, here's this project.
I think, man, it's hard because I don't think at the time I would have had the skills to do this, but just from like my recent work experience and also working on Homegames, I've kind of become a little bit more confident in being like, this is odd to code. What's happening here? And also just being like, I don't know if this is the correct approach. Like that phrase, I don't know if this is the correct approach, is really something I would never have said to anybody like 2 years ago.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that 2 years ago, I would have been a little bit more yeah, I guess it's hard because 2 years ago I wouldn't have had that skill. But assuming I had that skill, I first started working on Homegames with you, I should have probably been a little bit more like rigid about what made sense to me, if that makes sense. But also the other side of it too is just like, I feel like I needed to put more time into Homegames than I ended up putting in, because I think I needed to put in like comparable to you to be able to get to the point where I'd be like, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. But that's a lot of hours.
I think it's like one of the things that we talked about in a previous episode where it probably would have been nice if you and I at some point had just gone through in a thorough, in-depth way when you had started working on stuff or whatever and just been like, this is the thing. JC's self-conscious because he thinks his legs are in the frame. So they're not. I don't think they are.
I
get a little bit of a shin, but it's all right. It's fine.
I can. Oh, there we go. Yeah, honestly, when we did that walkthrough, when we've been doing these walkthroughs of like, here's a thing, and we're gonna walk through it, and we're gonna talk about what it does and like what I want to change on it, and like that kind of stuff. That was really, really helpful to me. I think that originally, I think you said like you learn best by like just getting into the code base and tearing it apart. I don't learn the best like that, and I probably should have been like, this is probably not going to work for me because I really do need like, we're going to go through the code base together, and then I can be like, okay, well, I understand what it's doing now. I don't know what it is about me, but I'm like afraid of breaking something, and so I haven't gotten to that fearlessness that you were talking about. If that makes sense. So yeah, that's something that that's definitely a takeaway for sure, is just being a little bit more honest with how I think I learn best and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of it too is like, I wouldn't have known that I don't learn that way unless I had tried it with this. Because I tried it with this when I started my new job. I was definitely like, you walk me through. Don't leave me to my own devices. I'll be off in hell. And you'll be wondering where Yazeed went. It's like, he's in hell, actually. He's lost and confused and a little lonely.
But see, it's a similar thing. Like, working on Homegames made you better at your job.
Yeah, it certainly did.
Yeah.
I'm a significantly better engineer now than I was before I started Homegames.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what you said is like, yeah, my thing is I go into the code and I'll figure it out. I do not care about your instructions. It's like, it's like a tech bro-y version of like, oh, I don't read the furniture instructions. I'll figure it out. And then there's like 4 extra screws and then the couch falls apart. That's basically like half of the features that I tried to build for Homegames. But yeah, like, I don't really like the idea of a correct way to do things. So that's kind of the fundamental difference between you and me, is you're like you said, you used to just, what is the right way to do this? And I hate that question. You know what I mean? Like, I get your thing. Yeah, it's just funny because we're so different. It's like, if someone told me this is the way to make a game engine, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not going to make a game engine. That's the way to do it. You did it. Like, what, you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, but also, no.
Like, it's partially just like who the fuck are you to tell me that that's right? You know?
I mean, fair. That's a good question.
That's really all it is if someone's like, oh, what's the best practices? You know, like we talked about that before, best practices. I don't like, obviously I understand the point of best practices, but I think it creates, we talked about it before, it creates this person who doesn't question them. It's just, that's the best. Okay, that's the best. React is the best framework. Okay, React is the best framework. So, and then eventually,
I don't think anyone's out here saying React's the best framework, or I certainly hope not, having worked on React for years.
Or someone, right? Or Vue is the best framework. But if someone just tells you that, whatever, especially for someone who's new, just hearing someone, especially because there is no authority. Like, when you're learning programming, everybody seems like an expert because you don't know anything. So if someone just says a word, you're just like, well, they must be right. And so a lot of the time it's just, you just get confused and it's just stupid and whatever. So if someone's like, oh, best practice, and you're just like, okay, well, that's the best. I'll just go along.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway.
Yeah. I also think there's like a little bit of nuance. Like when we talked about earlier about like, what was it, pure functions? That was a thing that I brought up to you recently. So, but yeah, I mean, I do think even then I said like there's a time and place for pure functions. There's also a time and place for not pure functions. And it's really, it's nuanced in a way that somebody who's a novice, even somebody who's experienced, sometimes it's a harder time like grasping. Like it's probably better to have a non-pure function in this case because of X, Y, and Z reason. But also somebody should always question like, should this be a pure function? And during a code review, somebody should look at it and be like, why isn't this a pure function if it's not obvious to them? But yeah, I do agree to some extent on like the rigidity of like dogma versus pragmatism, I guess.
Yeah, those two words mean something. I've heard them compared. JC's nodding his head. He went to college. I saw him there. So.
You went to college. Dogma is like the rigid following of set procedure, and pragmatism would just be like solving the problem. We're definitely opposite sides of that coin.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah. Ultimately, I just think it comes down to process is good, consistency is great. If you want things to work the best, you need process and consistency. At the end of the day, things will take forever if you have process on stuff, and fuck you, this change is just to make the button red. So suck my dick about your best practices. Let's get this through. Customer needs a red button. It's like balancing that.
Yeah.
We don't have any customers, so we've been able to have this. I think that's the thing, is I've been dreading the first bug. I've been dreading like, hey, this is broken.
You're dreading it? I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, both. But then when that happens, it's like, okay, it makes me rethink this, because what we've been saying from the beginning is like, there's no corporation, there's no business, there's no entity, there's no real responsibility that we have to this. There's no responsibility to shareholders or board members or anything like that. So this was all just like a loose social thing. And it's my only responsibility to this project is this loose promise that I give a fuck. You know what I mean? If Homegames.io goes down, I don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't pay anything for it. I mean, whatever. Like, so then it's like self-driven. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. What was even the topic? What was I even talking about? We're just rambling.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's
Sick.
fine.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No. Anyway, we have this roadmap. Do you want to go to the roadmap?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to talk about before we go to the roadmap, though.
No, just on a personal level, I'm just dealing with the change. It's just really weird.
Yeah.
It's like earlier. It's like we made up high school and then graduated it. It's really fucking weird.
To be clear, we didn't make up high school. That actually did happen. But
No, someone made up the concept of high school. We really graduated.
That's true.
And in your life is encapsulated by that thing, just high school.
Mm-hmm.
Someone made up high school.
Yeah.
This period of our lives is just your 20s. You could just be like drinking at a fucking Applebee's every night if you wanted to. You have the freedom. You know what I mean? But we made up this whole bullshit.
You can do that anytime. But yes, yeah, I'm with you. Listen, I'm here with you. I understand what you're getting at. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
It's just really weird. But yeah, going on vacation for the next couple of weeks. I guess that's part of the thing. One of my roadmap items is take a break because, sounds good to take a break. Yeah. It's one thing I'll be doing over the next couple of weeks in addition to documentation because I never really take a break. Hashtag I don't get tired.
Hashtag this man's a workaholic. Actually, deep down. Joseph is the guy who's like, when Homegames takes off, I know Joseph's gonna be like, yeah, I made Homegames. This is gonna be like his Twitter. It's like about me on Twitter, like Homegames creator, Joseph Garcia.
I don't know what the hell it is, but you keep talking about stuff that has been in like the crevices of my mind over the past week. Because I was thinking now that I'm a crypto asshole, I need to like work on my Twitter profile.
Oh my god. Oh no.
So that I was thinking like, you know how really accomplished and fancy people put in effort to look like they're not putting in effort to their Twitter?
Yeah.
It's like all lowercase. It's like mom, wife,
yeah,
Hillary Clinton. Shut the fuck up. You're obviously more than that. You know what I mean?
Wife, Hillary Clinton. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot to unpack in that small amount, buddy. What's going on?
No, I'm saying that's her Twitter profile.
Oh, okay.
You know what
You were saying that's your Twitter profile. I was like, what's happening?
No, I'm saying that like the upper echelon of people put in effort to look like they're not accomplished. Like they're just like, I'm just a guy.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of what my like end state. Let's say that I become a notch level, weirdo on the thing, and I get like $4 billion from Microsoft.
I really need you to not become that level.
Yeah. But if I did, what is my Twitter headline? I was literally just thinking this like 2 days ago.
Honestly, I think your About Me on GitHub would be your Twitter profile.
Yeah, that's like the most genuine description of myself. I like hip hop, burritos, and games or whatever.
Yeah. No, it's burritos, hip hops, and coding, I think you said.
Or programming,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
the burritos and hip hop were the two that I remember too.
Yeah.
I was really hoping you forgot one of those two and did the third one, but
no,
we're a little bit too in sync here.
Those are my true loves is burritos and hip hop.
Yeah.
I can give up computers forever.
I could see you if you ever became a millionaire, you'd just like to bankroll like people like Fantano. Like people who do like hip hop breakdowns. I could see you being like real deep into like bankrolling like music critics. I don't know why, but I just feel like that would be like your thing.
I would fund my own podcast where I talked about music with people who didn't know anything about music.
I'm just gonna be a guest on your podcast permanent, brother. Like what?
This is like taking a whole sidetrack. I don't even know whatever.
Yeah, we can get back to it.
Okay. JC, what's do you have anything to add before we go to the roadmap?
No.
JC said no.
JC's excited for the roadmap. So yeah, number one, take a break. I need a break. I have been going hard, and I need to take a week or two just to whatever. So hopefully we get some feedback. We get some people playing some stuff or testing some stuff or poking around the code base or whatever, and then come back to that kind of with some fresh eyes. But yeah, what does that next thing say? Oh, it says get some feedback, which I did not even realize. So yeah, that is true. Third thing, this is something I was thinking of, but dev profiles. I think we talked about this before. Like a very light social profile.
Yes, we did talk about this before.
Like emphasis on the very light. Like
yeah, we need your birth date, your social security number, your mother's maiden name.
Yeah.
Tell us your home address, credit card information too, including the last four. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously.
But yeah, no. Like I basically think it'd be cool if. You go to the Homegames website right now, you can see people's published games. And for example, it'll show Jukebox made by Joseph. And Joseph is not a link. You click on Joseph, it would be nice if it took you to a page where you can see Joseph's games. And maybe Joseph, it's weird to talk about myself in the third person. Maybe I could have a description of, who I am. Maybe I can include my Venmo name if you want to like support me.
Yeah.
Or your Ethereum address.
No. Your GitHub. What is it? Go with your GitHub profile so that people can find you on GitHub. Maybe.
I bought an Ethereum name. Did I tell you that?
You what?
An Ethereum name, prosif.eth. You can send me money on Ethereum. You can send me Ether if you just prosif.eth. Anyway, if I would put that in my description for the profile.
I can't believe this man's actually shilling in the middle of a podcast for his Ethereum wallet. What's happening right now? What? Oh yeah, just Venmo me. Here's my Cash App, bro. No, that's actually interesting. I didn't know you could do that.
Mentally, I'm in a dark space at the moment, even though I'm smiling. So I'm talking about my crypto wallet and whatever.
I'm really going to have to become the crypto bros posting their L's Twitter account like in real life.
Yeah, just follow me around with a camera as I complain about the price of Solana. Anyway, that's all dumb. But the point is, on Homegames, you would have a profile where you can say, just simple text, whatever. Like, I like to make games about this. Follow me, whatever. Simple, but not allowing too much text. Maybe having like a limit on the characters.
A tweet.
Yeah, basically a tweet, but it's your entire profile description is a tweet. And I don't really like having the social stuff. I don't really care about an image. I don't think people would want that. I don't think people will need that. It's just, I'm a developer. You don't need to know who I am. Here's just text about me, and here's my other games.
Yeah. I respect it. I do think we probably should include a place for them to put like a Patreon or a Venmo and maybe their GitHub account.
Sure. So
people can give them a follow. What is it? Like a star on GitHub?
You can follow someone on GitHub and you star their repositories.
Okay.
Homegames Core has 7.
I'm one of them.
So we have 6, and I'm one of them, so we have 5.
Hey, that's actually pretty good. Who are the other 5 people? That's what I want to know.
I actually don't know 2 of them, so that's like an accomplishment. That's a big deal. Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, so dev profiles. Anything else before we move on to the next thing?
No.
Stability and bug fixes. It's kind of always going to be there, everlasting. We're never going to run out of bugs to fix.
That's not true.
It is.
One day we'll die.
Okay, yes. We personally will run out of bugs to fix. There will always be bugs to fix. Deep dive videos per game. So basically I was thinking we have these 20 test games that all were made for a very specific reason, to test a technical feature or to reproduce a bug that I was looking into or whatever. And so they all kind of have a story, even though the actual end result is kind of bullshit. Like, we have Shape Test, which is just a polygon where if you click it, it says I have been licked, or like there's like a typo in clicked. So it's just I've been clicked.
I see.
And it's not a game. So if you don't have the context, it's just like, what the fuck is this? So basically I was thinking of just going through and kind of the more interesting stuff, just doing a more in-depth dive about why this exists and why we made this, what it's solving, whatever. How it showcases the particular feature I'm trying to show.
Yeah.
Okay, controller support has been on my list for like 3 years just because I like controllers so much, and I don't believe a video game is real until you can play it with a controller. So I need to go and I just need a weekend and a box from Dunkin' Donuts, like the box of Joe or whatever, the cardboard. It's like a 12-pack of coffee, and it'll fuck you up proper. I need one of those on a Saturday, and I'll get controller support working just fine. Now,
will I be able to understand how controller support works after the Saturday?
You mean like the code itself?
Yeah.
No, it'll be a mess. It'll be a nightmare. But it'll work damn near flawlessly.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's one thing I want to add before the end of the year.
I don't know why I'm turning around. I can't read any. That's too far away from me.
I can barely read it, and it's my handwriting. The next thing is, so basically I had this idea of, I get anxiety because of the backwards compatibility stuff. And when I say backwards compatibility, I mean Homegames Core and Web both basically have a registry of all of the versions of our game engine that it can use at any given time. So a game will say, I depend on this version, I depend on this version. Kind of the main thing will bundle all of those supported versions in, and so the game will kind of hook into that when it's actually running. And so I get anxiety about breaking changes, even though the version is the version it's published, and as long as we have that code, it'll be fine. And as long as we have it in our list of supported versions. But I basically just want to have a thing where like I can run a game and then save the state kind of like as a list of saved states is like this is the full sequence of events of this game stored in state. Mm-hmm. Every transition from one to the next is like basically like a linked list of states of a game from start to finish. And so you have all these kind of saved version, frames basically of the game that you can verify. This is in this spot, this has this value, this is blue and it's here, this is clickable and it's right here or whatever. So if we can basically just do that for games, and then when we have a new release, we basically just run those same tests for old games with old versions and just make sure that we can still get that same output as before. Mm-hmm. So like it's kind of a loose idea at the moment, but just looking into something that we can do there just to kind of build trust and consistency.
Yeah, like how Enzyme works on React for testing front-end frameworks.
I don't know what Enzyme is.
I don't know what Enzyme is either. I know it's part of like Jest for like the front end. Like we use like Jest's Enzyme stuff to like break down like a React app as it like moves through states.
Okay, yeah. That's basically what it is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like maybe.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's just, yeah, like you said, keeping track of states and making sure that they are the same would be the idea of just, when I had this version before, this is what the game did at each different state. When I have this version now, does that game still do the exact same thing? Yeah, so that'll be kind of cool. Like I said, just to build consistency. A big thing for us is like building trust, And like I said earlier, we don't owe anybody anything. So it's kind of like you have to trust that we are good people and we are trying to build the best thing we can, because that's all there is,
Yes.
Kind of crazy. Reduce AWS costs. Full disclosure, that shit is expensive.
I feel like we've talked about that.
No, that's how expensive it is. I keep talking about it. God damn, that shit is expensive. We have several services. Over the past week, I've deleted 2 ECS Fargate services, which were actually very expensive, and I wasn't using them at all. So that might knock down our bill by quite a bit. But basically, for this to be long-term sustainable without anybody else, like I just want to bring the cost down because I'm just burning money every month.
Yeah.
So, that would be cool if we did that. And the next thing, oh my God, read about blockchain. This was more of a personal list of goals as opposed to a Homegames list. I bought a book about Ethereum, so I'm going to read about blockchain technology. FYI, just in case you were wondering.
I mean, I'm interested to hear what you learn about it, and also frightened by what you'll learn. Already, I'm scared.
Me too. Signed binaries. We've talked about this forever, but basically when you download the binaries, the builds from our website, your OS will warn you that we're an unverified publisher, and it's because we're just putting out the code. We don't have any developer profiles that we're using, like to sign a key or whatever the fuck people do, however that works. But we're like, hey, we're a Homegames organization. I'm really me. This piece of software we are releasing officially, like having that kind of a process.
Yeah, that'd be nice. It'd probably go a long way to building trust, like you said earlier.
Oh yeah, just for
I keep it down.
Sorry, just for normal people to just like trust your thing.
Yeah.
If Windows is like, whoa there, brother, before you open it, no one's opening that shit unless they are very comfortable.
Unless they're very brave, or very desperate to play something with their friends.
Or 12.
That's not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, you could be all of those things at once. Okay, we've got a few more. Yeah, make changes to the podcast. That's the next thing I have there. Basically, was just thinking, again, depending on interest. Like at this point, we're not going to be developing crazy features every 2 weeks or doing stupid research. Like, I have ideas for what I would like to do way in the future beyond 2022.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, I'm not going to do that shit if no one cares,
Yeah.
So it's like maybe the podcast becomes a once a month thing, or if it picks up, it becomes a weekly thing again, or whatever. I just don't think it'll be the same in 6 months, whatever happens.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then 3 more, almost. What does that say? Make less less technical, more philosophical. I think it'd be cool if this does pick up traction, because we're doing less research and less hardcore shit. It's more, you can make more relatable content. You could be like, hey, person who doesn't necessarily know anything I'm talking about, you understand the purpose of achievements. You understand the purpose of saved games. You understand the purpose, like, you can kind of generalize the information and then talk more about the philosophy of why you're building it, or the way that you see the feature, or the way that it fits into the system. Like, just being more relatable, because sometimes I listen to the podcast and I can't relate to it, and I'm literally speaking. You know what I mean?
It's in it.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think that would be kind of something to think about.
Yeah.
Work on games forever. That's kind of like I said earlier. Just in my mind, I never fully give up on this thing. I'm always working on this thing, but at a certain point, you gotta stop working so much on a thing.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, work on games forever.
Yeah.
I will always do that kind of passively. I think as long as JavaScript exists, I will come back to this project and add to it and whatever.
Do you think like you're gonna be like Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino?
And do what?
Just like a grumpy old
Be
man.
racist?
No, not that part. Hopefully not that. I meant the part where he works on his Gran Torino all the time, even though it's like 1,000,000 years old, and that's really all he cares about.
Except for, I would love to do that, except for
But like the Gran Torino's home games.
Yes. Yeah, that's my like baby project. I would rather not have like an ungrateful bullshit family that just wants my car when I die, but in terms of like just having a thing that I put all my soul into when I'm done working for money.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Nice. Yeah. I hope also that you don't have his familial experience.
Yeah, it sounds shitty. Yeah. Okay. Last one is offline mode. We talked about this before, about wanting to have all this stuff work if you just have a router and no internet connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
I grew up not quite poverty, but we didn't have internet sometimes. It would just go out.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So it's like, I understand the pain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's important to have an offline thing. Even just like our internet service provider goes out all the time. I have like the top tier internet that we can get, and it goes out like every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we can do all this stuff offline. We just need a little bit of a few tweaks, basically, to kind of have awareness in the game logic to know if there's a network connection and where to look for assets in that case, and kind of defaults in case there's something not available. So anyway, I just want to do that. I have actually, if you look right there, there's a whole other router separate from my main router, and that is just an offline network, not talking to the real internet at all, that I just use to test offline mode. I'm like a full fucking psycho with all this testing set up.
You're like really in. That's like commitment. Normal people would just unplug their modem or something.
Well, no, because Synovia uses the internet.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah. I have a whole family to worry about.
All right, Synovia, time. No internet. No internet. Daddy's gotta work on.
Dad,
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean it like that. But.
It's all good. Okay, so roadmap is covered. Us kind of reflecting a little bit is covered. There's the big red button moment, which is the actual publishing of a new build. What else is there besides that?
Gotta break a bottle of champagne and christen the ship or whatever.
Just break a bottle of champagne.
Isn't that what they do for ships?
Is that true? I thought they saber it. Don't they like...
They slam it
I don't think.
They just smash it?
Yeah.
Yeah, smash it into the ship.
What the fuck? Okay. That
I want to
sounds-
know what happens to all the glass because that sounds not great.
Goes into the ocean.
It's probably fine.
Jay said that goes into the ocean. In case you couldn't hear, it doesn't sound great for the ocean or whoever poor soul has to go and get cut up by that glass later. I don't think sabering a ship's a good idea, by the way.
Sabering a ship?
Yeah.
I didn't mean sabering a ship. I meant like sabering a bottle of champagne.
Oh,
Like, what the fuck is sabering a ship?
like
Just
hitting a ship with a sword, yeah, just to test that it's sturdy or whatever.
Seems wildly ineffective. But
What? We're okay. Hitting a ship with a sword to test that the body of this ship is resilient. I feel like it's more reasonable than throwing a bottle of champagne at a ship and then giving it a name.
it's true. All the things that we make up are dumb.
Yeah.
Everything is stupid. Homegames.io.
Homegames.io.
Okay.
The YouTube of the Bloodborne of making a video game.
The YouTube of games. But then it's always like Jackbox. It's like YouTube if you could make Jackbox games on YouTube and it was JavaScript. I don't know. It's like, you know what I mean?
Isn't it exactly like how YouTube works? And less like how Jackbox works?
Yeah, what I mean is the original game thing of the local multiplayer, that was from Jackbox. But
True.
then the publishing your own is the YouTube.
Yeah, but on YouTube, you also watch your own videos, presumably.
You watch your own videos on YouTube?
I don't have any videos on YouTube, so no.
That dance video of us from years ago is pretty good still. People
It's true.
see if we get big on home games, people will eventually find that dancing video and make fun of us forever, and it'll be great.
I wasn't dancing in that video, so I'm out of the possibility.
It's true. Well, we're in your house, so it's still embarrassing.
You are in my house. That is true.
Okay. Are we ready for me to publish the new build?
I am ready for you to publish the new build.
Okay. Sudo node publish build.js. This commit hash. So for people who are interested at home, what I'm doing is I'm basically just building a new binary of the combination of the Home Games core server, the Home Games web server, and all of our supported versions of the game engine. It'll take that locally, build it, and then deploy it. It takes like 3 minutes, so the drama of a big red button is kind of gone. Because it's like, then you just wait. So
I didn't know it was going to take 3 minutes. That certainly changes things.
it needs to upload all of the binaries to S3.
Oh, I see.
So, okay. If I hit that button, it's going to do it. If I
Okay.
hit this button.
And you hit that button.
If I hit this button.
Wait, can I hold the button?
You can hold the button. I'll hit the button. Make sure it's in the frame. The big red button.
All right, don't hit me.
I'm going to publish the build. JC, you ready?
Yeah.
You want to do a clickbait face in the side? You got to like really...
Hey, let's go. Clap, 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 clap.
Let's wait till it's actually in S3 to clap. But yes, it is currently building. So I'll kind of, I guess I could narrate. Is that like fun? It's
I don't know.
building.
You're gonna read verbatim what the what are you gonna narrate?
Basically, it's just building the binaries right now with all the different stuff, and then it'll give output as it goes. But it's building a Mac binary, a Windows binary, a Linux binary. It'll then upload all of those individually to an S3 bucket. Then it'll go and create a record in a DynamoDB table, which references that S3 asset that it just uploaded, and it says, "Hey, here's the new build at this point, at this resource, whatever." And then the builds.homegames.io service will pick that up, and then the homegames.io website will have a new link when you hit download.
Hell yeah.
Once I mark it as stable, which is actually the big red moment, the big red button moment.
I have a question for you,
Yeah.
or rather, another question for you. We have a new game.
It's done, by the way.
Oh sheesh.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. Joseph made fun of me for saying sheesh so much, and then immediately after I say sheesh, now I think about it.
As you should. Reflect. Improve.
We have a new game on Home Games.
Oh yeah, hot potato. I
Hot
didn't talk
potato.
about it.
That's right.
You talk about hot potato.
So, if people who don't listen to the podcast regularly, well, literally last episode, Joseph was like, I'm going to make a game called Hot Potato. Basically, it's functionally the game Hot Potato in real life, but on home games. So you get a hot potato. If you are brave enough to turn on your sound, you can hear Joseph actually, as a sound engineer, or whatever it's called, making all of the sounds for the Hot Potato game. And you bounce a hot potato between you and all the other players, and the last person to get it is loser.
It's true.
Yeah, and everyone else is the winner. I don't know why I went with the person who gets it is the loser, because everyone else won, but yeah. Yeah, it's basically like real-life hot potato. Although, I gotta be honest, I've never played hot potato in real life. It seems a little painful on your hands. It sounds like not a great idea, to be clear. But
you touched hot brisket, not a hot potato.
Yeah, I didn't throw it at you, you know?
It's true. But yeah, I've never really played. Hot potato sounds like a made-up game. It sounds like it only could exist in a computer thing, because like, who the fuck is throwing hot potatoes at each other? That's food.
Yeah. Although I will say, I once saw a Vine of a man, maybe it wasn't a Vine, it might have been a TikTok, but of a guy, of like 3 dudes making a lobster or a crab boil. And when the guy went to grab the crab, it pinched his finger, and he threw it as hard as he could against the cabinet, and he hit the cabinet door so hard the cabinet door opened.
Jesus.
Yeah.
This is a tech podcast, and sometimes we just freestyle, you know?
I'm waiting for you to finish the big red button.
No, yeah, it's done.
Oh, okay.
I'll just restart it to make sure that it actually works. But for anybody watching the video and the thing, I published this build, and this is it running. So it works. We have home games. It is available.
Nice.
As of right now, and people will be listening to this in like 4 days. So at that point, I will have a demo video up and some documentation, and probably have that bug fixed where sessions don't show for downloaded games.
Yeah.
What now? What do we do?
Thank you everyone for listening. As always, our music was done by our friend Tynan, or at 910 on Bandcamp. You can check us out at Homegames.io or our website homegames.io. You can send us a like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel or Spotify or wherever you listen to this podcast. I'm just freestyling at this point because I actually don't remember the rest of the outro. Thanks for listening, everyone. Homegames.io, Homegames.io. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.